It is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, and this is The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. I'm Buck Reynolds, and I've still got more diesel in my veins than these folks have coffee.
This is Elena Rossi.
I'm Jules Sterling.
Yesterday, we covered anti-dumping duties on Canadian trailers, stalled FSMA 204 food traceability enforcement, and liquidation of International Motors Springfield plant.
Dan Miller here. We have a great show for you today.
Well, actually, looking back at yesterday...
Yeah, Elena, yesterday was a lot. We were all still chewing on those massive anti-dumping duties on Canadian trailers.
And the diesel spike, $5.31 at the pump, had every owner-op I know texting me in a panic, right?
Look, it's a tight spot. But today, the board is shifting again. We're tracking a potential cooling in the Middle East and a massive manufacturing pulse that could...
If it's real, Dan. My thing is, we need to see the risk floor first. Speaking of risk, I suppose we should start with the headlines coming out of the White House and the Middle East.
You mean Trump pulling back at the goal line? Here's the deal. Sunday was supposed to be the big fireworks show with Iran, but then, poof.
It's the ultimate 2-minute drill. Trump cancels the strike, says a deal is near, and suddenly WTI crude drops 5%.
It's a huge relief for my retail accounts, honestly. They were looking at fuel surcharges that were sort of starting to look like phone numbers.
Well, actually, the Iranian Foreign Ministry is already denying direct talks. They're saying they're only talking to Oman about a shipping corridor.
That's the thing. A temporary Hormuz route? I've run some tight lanes in my time, but hugging the Iranian coast while they charge a service fee?
It's a toll booth on 20% of the world's oil, Buck. Bottom line, if it opens up the strait, the markets will take it.
But does that actually stabilize anything? Or are we just sort of paying the people who created the problem, right?
Precisely. From a claims perspective, imagine the indemnity nightmare of a ship controlled by Tehran in a war zone.
Look, $80 oil is better than $120 oil. The play here is to watch if that Brent crude floor holds near 83.
Well, I'll believe it when I smell the cheaper fuel at the truck stop, Dan. Right now, it just feels like more smoke and mirrors.
While we wait for the smoke to clear in Hormuz, we've got a massive fire burning in the U.S. Court of International Trade.
You're talking about the 25 states suing over those forced labor tariffs, I suppose?
Right. New York, California, Arizona. It's a huge coalition. They're calling the White House's Section 301 investigation a guise to bypass Congress.
It's a legal Hail Mary. These tariffs are hitting 99% of all U.S. imports. That's not a trade policy. It's a blockade.
Actually, Jules, my concern is the lane-level shocks. We saw ocean freight from China go from $1,000 to nearly $8,000 in 6 months.
The thing is, those costs don't just disappear. They end up in the cab with me. Or worse, they put the small carriers out of business.
Exactly. And the states are arguing that this usurps congressional power. It's creating this sort of massive uncertainty in the supply chain, right?
Look, if the courts stay the tariffs, we see a temporary capacity glut. If they don't, we're looking at permanent inflation in the hardware sector.
It's a mess of our own making. Liability isn't just about accidents, it's about regulatory whiplash.
Well, here's the deal. My thing is, when do we stop playing games with the people actually moving the freight?
Hey, before we move on to the tech, a quick note from our sponsor. Strategic logistics requires world-class engineering.
And this show is powered by the stack developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media, right?
Support the architect behind the code. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media for a free trial and access to our daily briefing PDF.
It's where the real data is kept. Anyway, let's get back to it.
All right, let's talk about these silicon drivers again. Atlas Air is doubling down on wide-body freighters, but on the ground, have you seen this FedEx robot?
The one that loads trailers by itself? It's sort of incredible, actually. They're planning to scale it across the entire network, Buck.
Oh, wonderful. Another thing to replace a guy who can actually feel when a load is unbalanced.
Look, Buck, it's not about replacing. It's about the backlog. We've got agentic AI in the back office now, too. SageX and Sarala are running AP with robots.
But the FCC just blocked those Chinese humanoid robots because of national security risks. Actually, that's a win for data integrity.
It's a huge blow to some warehouses that were sort of counting on those cheap units, right?
Well, if the robot is spying on the cargo, I don't want it on my dock anyway. But the tech in the trailer, that's different.
You mean the science of sanitation? Actually, they're using UVC light now to kill listeria in reefers. It's medical-grade cleaning.
That's the play. If you can reduce the washout time by 60% like GE Aerospace did with their lead times, you win the margin game.
I like a clean trailer as much as the next guy, but do we need a 3-step medical process for a load of onions?
Yes, Buck. Complacency is the precursor to catastrophe. One E. coli outbreak, and your fleet's reputation is in the morgue.
And with fuel card fraud hitting $500,000 in some fleets, the security has to be as high as the sanitation, right?
Now it's time for Spot Rate Tape, our Tuesday segment where we dive into the national benchmarks and see where the money is actually moving.
Oh boy, here comes the numbers guy.
Look, I'm looking at the tape for the week of August 4th, and it's a 2-speed market. Let's start with the national averages.
Are we finally seeing that floor we keep talking about?
Not exactly. Dry van slipped to $2.32 to $2.38 a mile. That's down 2.5% week over week.
Actually, Dan, wasn't it higher in some of the other reports? I saw figures closer to $3 in the LTL heavy indices.
That's the pivot, Elena.
The spot to contract spread. It's sort of finally flipping, right?
Exactly. For the first time since 2022, spot rates in some Midwest lanes have officially crossed above the contract benchmarks.
Wait, you mean the guys playing the spot market are making more than the guys with the long-term deals?
On specific lanes, yes. Especially the Midwest to Southeast corridor, we're seeing a 14-cent jump on lanes out of Chicago.
It's that retail replenishment ahead of Labor Day. Shippers are sort of scrambling to find anyone to take the loads, right?
Right. And reefers holding firm at $2.65 a mile. But the real story is flatbed. $2.83 national average, which is up 40% year over year.
40%? I suppose that explains why my flatbed clients are the only ones not complaining about their insurance premiums.
It's all that infrastructure money, Dan. You can't build a bridge without a flatbed, and we're building a lot of bridges lately.
Here's the play on the call-out lane. Watch the West Coast. California reefer rates are holding steady because of the regreening of the citrus crop.
Regreening? That sounds sort of like something out of a sci-fi movie, Dan. What's the logistics impact?
It means lower aesthetic yields, so shippers are fighting over a smaller pool of high-quality fruit. And they're competing for reefers that don't want to deal with $5.13 diesel out west.
Well, here's the deal. My thing is, if I'm a carrier, why would I nose into California just to pay a $5 fuel tax?
Exactly. It's a supply-led tightening. The drivers are pricing in the risk of the West Coast regulatory environment and the fuel costs.
Bottom line, we are in a diesel mask market. The line haul is cooling seasonally, but your total spend is staying flat because of the fuel volatility.
So, for my accounts, I should sort of tell them to expect sideways movement for about 10 days before the Q3 retail push hits, right?
That's the outlook. Spot rates will likely lead contract renewals 5 to 8% higher through the fall. Spot rate tape? That's a wrap.
I mean, that's a heavy wrap. But we haven't even touched the RAM apocalypse yet. Dan, you were telling me about memory prices?
Look, it's an AI tax on everything we do. Chip makers are moving all their production to high-bandwidth memory for data centers.
And that leaves the ELDs and telematic systems sort of in the lurch, right?
Exactly. A single stick of RAM that used to be $100 is now $400. This is hitting the capital expenditure for every fleet upgrade.
It's the same thing with the Atlas Air deal. They're buying 49% of Air Atlanta just to secure the wide-body aircraft.
I mean, the thing is, everyone is grabbing hardware like it's the end of the world. Planes, chips, even trailers.
It's because the lead times are sort of becoming the biggest competitive advantage. If you have the asset, you have the power.
Well, actually, that brings us to the main event. This manufacturing PMI report, 55.6 in July. That's a 4-year high.
I mean, that's the thing that's been nagging me. 7 straight months of growth. Is the factory floor actually back?
Look at the sub-indexes, Buck. Production is at 58.5. That's the highest since November 2021. Factories are in a higher gear.
And the employment index expanded for the first time in 33 months. 60% of companies are actively hiring, right?
I mean, if they're hiring, they're making stuff. If they're making stuff, someone's got to move it. My thing is this just defense and AI, or is it everything?
It's a triple threat, Buck. Defense procurement, AI infrastructure, and a consumer base that just won't quit. Actually, it's the perfect storm for freight volume.
And LTL is the primary beneficiary. Tonnage is growing. Efficiency is at record levels. We're seeing companies like XPO and Saia posting margins we haven't seen in years.
But what about the supplier deliveries index? It was at 58.9. That means things are slowing down, right?
In this context, slow means the supply chain is congested because the demand is so high. It's a good kind of slow for a carrier.
Unless you're the one managing the risk of late deliveries, then it's just a headache.
Well, I mean, it sounds like the industrial heart is beating again. I just hope we have enough drivers left after the structural purge Elena keeps talking about.
Look, the driver pool is thinner because of the new compliance surges, but the freight is there. The money is moving toward the carriers who can prove they're safe and tech forward.
It's sort of a return to relationships, Buck. The annual RFP might be dying, but the need for a reliable partner who can handle a 55.6 PMI environment, that's forever.
Actually, I think it's the start of a new era of precision. You can't just throw a truck at a problem anymore. You need the data, the UVC cleaning, and the AI agents.
Well, here's the deal. I'll keep my vintage CB radio and my roses, but I'll admit, that 55.6 number is a beautiful sight for a fleet manager.
It's the best signal we've had since the pandemic. We're not just recovering, we're retooling the whole machine.
It's sort of exciting, even with all the lawsuits and the RAM shortages, right?
I mean, it's trucking, Jules. If it wasn't a little chaotic, we'd all be bored.
Look, the bottom line is that capacity is the new currency. If you have the equipment and the compliance is tight, you're the king of the road in Q3.
Or at least the most insured.
That's all for today's High Road. We took a look at the massive surge in U.S. manufacturing and how that PMI hit a 4-year high of 55.6, which, finally gives us some solid ground to stand on.
Bye.
See ya.
Talk soon.
Keep the shiny side up, folks.